Revealed. Amazing story of Billionaire's heartwarming reaction after mother rips Maid's uniform. Jennifer stepped through the door, her shoulders heavy with the burden of another long day. The smell of cheap takeout filled their tiny apartment. Just moments before, she had wiped down the gleaming kitchens of those who lived in ornate mansions, a world away from her own. Caleb's voice boomed from the living room, cutting through her thoughts. They were always loud, those arguments about responsibility and future. Mom. I can't just conform. I have dreams. Caleb exclaimed, his frustration bubbling over. Jennifer felt her heart tighten. It was always the same. She worked so hard to provide. Yet, all he saw was her labor, not the love behind it. You think dreams pay the bills, Caleb? You're almost 17. It's time you learned what responsibilities mean. As she gestured passionately, fabric ripped. A sudden silence filled the space. The sight of her tattered uniform was like a lightning bolt. It ignited embarrassment, anger, and humbling defeat all at once. Jennifer felt the tears prick her eyes. In that moment, she felt stripped of her dignity, reminding her of the sacrifices she made daily for her son's future. Across the street, Ethan Harrington, a billionaire in tailored suits, stood frozen. He had observed it all. His perfectly curated life felt dull watching a genuine moment shatter like glass before him. He was used to being insulated from hardship, but witnessing a mother's humiliation pierced his heart. All the money he'd earned, the accolades and luxury, suddenly felt so hollow. His stomach knotted as he grappled with the truth. He had never understood the weight of struggle, the essence of resilience that came from a life like Jennifer's. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As days turned into weeks, Ethan sought out Jennifer in subtle ways, sliding gifts and anonymous help her way. With every interaction, he learned the value of everyday life, the friendships, the community bond that held people like Jennifer together through storms. They exchanged stories, vulnerability dripping from each word, forging an unexpected connection. Jennifer saw in Ethan a glimpse of humility, some parts of herself reflected in his unease with his wealth. The upcoming community festival promised to echo the clash of their worlds, drawing attention to the stark divide between the rich and the working class. As the event unfolded, discussions flared around status and merit, bubbling over with tension. Frustration clouded the air while some attendees, with eyes darting between privileged comfort and the stark reality of Jennifer's struggles, began to shift their opinions. As they reached the peak of the festival's energy, Jennifer wrestled with her past, while Ethan dug deeper, examining the comfort of his privilege. The crowd erupted with emotions, both anger and a yearning for hope crackled. Then, just as things began to spiral, the host raised a glass to unity through understanding. With eyes all around them, Jennifer faced a choice that could reshape not just her life, but the hearts of those in the community. Could this moment indeed be the catalyst for true change, or would they let their differences divide them once again? Through a blurred streetlight, she met Ethan's gaze, a silent promise hanging in the air, igniting a spark of hope just as the crowd began to murmur. The future felt heavy, yet somehow luminous, a quiet beckoning to reclaim not just her worth, but something greater that transcended wealth. The festival swirled around Jennifer like a tide, the sounds of laughter and chatter mixing with the heavy emotions that clung to the air. Even as she stood in the middle of a crowd brimming with excitement, her heart drummed a steady rhythm of uncertainty. What did unity feel like, and how could she help usher it in amidst so many disparities? Ethan stood a few feet away, his tall figure framed by the colorful lights of the festival, his brows furrowing in concentration as his eyes scanned the crowd. He seemed caught between worlds, just as she felt. The billionaire had changed in the weeks since they began their quiet correspondence. He listened, truly listened, when she shared her burdens, and she saw a glimmer of empathy in his gaze that had once been absent. "Jennifer." A voice broke her thoughts. It was Sophia, an older lady who lived 2 floors above them, her wrinkled hands waving frantically. "You must come see the dance competition. It's starting soon." Jennifer plastered on a smile, her heart momentarily lightened by the invitation. She leaned into the joy of the moment, letting the distraction draw her away from the heaviness of her thoughts. The vibrant costumes twirled on stage, reminding her of fleeting childhood dreams when she once imagined performing. But shadows of doubt lingered behind the brightness. Was it wrong to dream? Was it wrong to want a life beyond just making ends meet? As the dance concluded, a group of teenagers rushed to the stage, claiming it for their own impromptu performance. Laughter erupted from the audience, and for a moment, Jennifer felt hope flutter in her chest. She looked over at Ethan, who wore a genuine smile, completely engrossed in the joy of the scene. There was something magnetic about the way he interacted with people. He didn't stand above them but alongside them, almost blending in. Yet, hope felt fleeting. The laughter and music could only cover up the uncomfortable divides for so long. As the evening went on, tension began to bubble beneath the surface once more, conversations about income disparity flaring up like distant fireworks. People began to congregate, opinions clashing like thunder, underscoring every laugh and cheer. "I can't ignore this," Jennifer suddenly exclaimed, her voice rising above the din. The crowd around her stilled, waiting for her to speak. She had been here, in the trenches of life, and now it felt vital to share her truth. "We're all here together, but we're not just numbers or names on a paycheck. We're fighting to connect on something deeper, our shared humanity." Murmurs rose, rippling through the crowd. Ethan's eyes widened, a spark igniting as he stepped closer. He had seen the effect of wealth, but now he hovered at the cusp of understanding the impact of compassion. "Jennifer's right," he shouted, his voice booming over the whispers. "We bleed, we love, and we dream just the same. We must challenge ourselves to see beyond what separates us." With those words, a palpable shift followed. The group who had clustered in disagreement found themselves facing one another, curiosity replacing disdain. Jennifer's heart raced. She felt the shifting tide, the urge to push further, to dive deeper into this moment of connection while it still simmered in the air. Maybe this was the catalyst they needed, a chance for understanding. But amid the tension, a harsh reality struck her. Would they truly embrace the change she craved? What if all her courage led to nothing more than sound and fury? With her heart pounding, she searched for Ethan's support, realizing this was her moment to advocate for more than just her own dignity. As the crowd listened in silence, she caught Ethan's eye again, feeling a surge of determination. What would the next step be? Would their hearts remain open, or would this moment cascade into a chasm too wide to bridge? The weight of this moment loomed large, promising consequences that echoed beyond the festival's lights. The air crackled with tension as Jennifer stood there, feeling raw and exposed. The crowd shifted, murmurs forming like ripples on a pond. She could sense the uncertainty hanging thick, yet there was also a spark of hope lighting up the faces before her. Ethan's presence felt like solid ground in the chaos, his eyes urging her to go on. "I want each of you to think about why we're here tonight," she pressed, her voice steadying itself amid the anxious silence. "We celebrate, we share joy, but we also need to recognize the challenges each of us faces. By opening up and connecting, really connecting, we can find a path beyond our differences." A few heads nodded slowly, while others still wore frowns of skepticism. Jennifer took a deep breath, a cocktail of fear and determination swirling in her chest. "I grew up in a world where making sacrifices was part of the daily grind. I know how it feels to struggle and how lonely it can be. But I stand here today, not just as Jennifer, the maid, but as a person who believes everyone deserves a chance to live fully and honestly." Ethan stepped forward, the glimmer of anxiety in his features replaced by an earnestness that lit up his face. "I know I come from privilege. I've seen how wealth can create barriers," he added, his voice rumbling like distant thunder. "But tonight, I'm with you, Jennifer. Together, let us shape a different future. Not just for us as individuals, but for our community." A collective gasp rose from the crowd. Ethan's admission seemed to break the ice, helping others shed their apprehensions. Slowly, faces softened, and conversations ignited again, only now, the energy felt more like a fire than a conflict. Skepticism transformed into curiosity, and resentments ebbed. "I think we all have stories to tell," an elderly man piped up from the back, his gnarled hands clasped tightly. "Stories of pain, but also bravery. Stories that unite rather than divide us." "Yes!" Jennifer exclaimed, her heart racing with excitement at the turn of events. "Let us share our stories. Let us listen to each other. We can come together in understanding." The pulse of the crowd shifted again, people began to gravitate towards one another, forming small clusters. All were eager to share laughter, experiences, and perhaps even tears. Something ignited, a shared fire of human connection, a reminder of their common humanity. As tales unfolded, laughter erupted, mingling with touches of sadness. Each story carried with it a thread that wound tighter, knitting the crowd together into a vessel of shared experience. Jennifer felt lighter, her own burden lessened as she started sharing snippets of her life. Ethan interjected with stories from his upbringing, illustrating vulnerability in his privileged life, a rarity in his social circle, but just as the sentiment of unity began to fill the air, a sharp voice cut through the warmth. "What's the point of this?" A young woman, arms crossed, stood at the edge of the gathering, her skepticism laid bare. "You think a little storytelling will change a damn thing?" Her words struck like a chilling breeze, and a hush fell upon the crowd. Jennifer's heart sank. Ethan stepped forward again, the vulnerability in the room swelling. "It's a start. It's about recognizing the hurt and the hope. Change doesn't just happen overnight. It begins in small ways, in conversations, in the willingness to listen." "But wouldn't that be enough?" Jennifer's mind raced with questions, the nervous thrum in her heart echoing with doubts. Could they really bridge the divides with just words? The atmosphere held its breath, a collective moment teetering on the edge of hope and despair. She glanced at Ethan, seeing the fire in his eyes. This was their moment, but would they find the strength to banish the remaining shadows? As silence lingered, Jennifer took a step closer, wanting to jump into the unknown, to challenge that young woman, to drive home the importance of courage, only to realize her heart was racing, a maelstrom of thoughts swirling. Would her words break the chains of mistrust, or would they crumble upon the weight of harsh reality? The next chapter in their journey was just beginning, and uncertainty lay ahead, waiting to unveil its surprises. Jennifer took a steadying breath, her resolve hardening. "What do you want to change?" she finally asked the young woman, letting the genuine question hang in the air. This wasn't just a pushback, it was a challenge, an invitation for something deeper. The woman uncrossed her arms, hesitating for the first time. There was a flicker in her eyes, as if she had just seen a thread leading to a tapestry she hadn't known existed. I want things to be better. But how do we fix anything when we're all just telling our sob stories?" A small murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, but Jennifer could see a shift begin to take shape. This young woman had struck a chord, raw and true. Everyone wanted change, but so many felt powerless. Ethan stepped closer, sensing the moment's frailty. "Stories reveal what's hidden. They show us the path from misunderstanding to empathy. They matter because they help us see each other." But what he said next struck deeper, cracking open the defenses many had built. "You know, I've been that person too, wrapped up in my world to really see those around me. I thought change was all about money, but I was dead wrong. It's about connection." The crowd was engulfed in a cocktail of tension and vulnerability. They were teetering closer to one another now, ready to engage in deeper conversations, guided by shared experiences rather than judgment. Jennifer took this momentum and ran with it. We can't fix the world in one night, but we can start right here with each other. By acknowledging the struggles and triumphs, we build solidarity. Something ignited in the young woman, her skepticism softening as her lips quirked up. Okay, so what do we do next? In that moment, Jennifer felt a spark of hope resurge inside of her. This was the power she had been seeking, not just a response, but participation. She could see the crowd coming alive, ready to wrestle with their truths and uncover their collective strength. Let us open the circle, Jennifer proposed, her voice rising above the rest. Let us exchange not just stories, but dreams for what we want our community to be. Everyone can share something they hope to see changed. The crowd began to pulse with energy as groups formed. One by one, voices lifted, echoing across the lot. Each one of them spoke of change, of connections desired, of fears acknowledged and, ultimately, of the desire to rise together. Jennifer couldn't help but smile, feeling the warmth of companionship blanket her. As the evening rolled on, laughter and ideas mingled. The sounds danced in the air, weaving delicate threads of alchemy that blurred the lines between them all. Each narrative was valued, each dream cherished until they began to discover a common thread that bound their varied experiences. It was exhilarating. They were becoming a mosaic of storytelling, shaping unity from diversity, with every word spoken, yet, in the midst of the growing camaraderie, a fresh voice stood up sharply at the edge of the new circle. An older gentleman, with a weathered face marked by life, scowled deeply. What you all are saying is just fluff. You think feelings alone will create real change? The laughter faded, shifting back to uncertainty, and the crowd again felt the weight of doubt trying to seep in. Jennifer could only hold her breath, heart racing. Was this man right? Were they just spinning tales without action? But then she remembered the warmth sparked just moments before. She turned to the group surrounding her, eyes wide, seeking their strength. Would they let this seed of doubt take root? No, it's not fluff, she said, louder now, the conviction clear in each word. These stories are our realities. If we don't listen, we'll never understand how to act. This is where it starts. The old gentleman blinked, slowly softening as he sensed the determination around him. Words can be powerful, he admitted grudgingly. But what makes them powerful is what we do next. Jennifer stood firm, her heart pounding, yet alive with purpose. This was the moment they had all been waiting for, a chance not just to speak, but to listen, act, and ultimately, transform. The next step is vital, she declared, gripping the edge of her resolve. What action will we take beyond this evening's stories? The room held its breath, the chance for real impact unfolding before them. Eyes brightened, anticipating the possibilities. Little did they know, the next chapter was just waiting to unfurl, bursting with potential and challenges yet to come. A hush fell over the crowd, tension crackling like electricity in the air. Jennifer's heart thundered as she scanned the faces before her, each expression whispering a mix of uncertainty and hope. The question hung heavy, tempting those gathered to consider more than just words. Then, a young man named Marcus stepped forward, his hands trembling slightly. What if we start a community garden? He suggested, his voice tentative yet resolute. We can share food, help each other, and maybe even plant seeds of friendship. A ripple of excitement surged through the crowd. One by one, others chimed in. A woman named Clara spoke of starting a neighborhood cleanup day. A retired firefighter, with a warm smile, shared his passion for teaching kids safety classes. Ideas flowed like a rushing river, filling the space where doubt had nearly choked out their enthusiasm. Yes. Let us get organized. Jennifer exclaimed, the words spilling out of her as she felt the group's energy uplift her spirit. We can create teams, action plans. Let us make sure these stories translate into tangible change. As the group erupted into animated discussions, Jennifer felt her heart swell. She had prayed for this moment, connectedness woven from shared values that could spark change beyond this one night. But even as ideas danced, a small voice in her mind whispered caution. Could this elegant tapestry of dreams withstand the harsh winds of reality? Just as she settled into the warmth of camaraderie, the older gentleman spoke again, his face still lined with skepticism. You're all talking about dreams, but tackling real issues takes more than enthusiasm. You need funds, resources, and support from outside influences. Are you ready for that? Jennifer's heart sank slightly. There was truth to his words. The grind of reality could crush ambitions in an instant. But something inside her rebelled against the anxiety that edged her thoughts. We can start small, she said firmly. Every bit counts. Real change begins at home, doesn't it? We can find ways to get what we need together. The crowd nodded, still caught in the hopeful momentum. Yet, she could feel the weight of doubt still lurking in the corners of the room, clinging like shadows. Ethan stepped in, raising his hand to bring the crowd back to focus. What if we create a community meeting? Invite local leaders and businesses. Show them what we're doing. We just need to start talking, getting our voices heard beyond this crowd. The sparkle of possibility ignited anew. Ideas about inviting the mayor, drafting letters to local businesses, and social media campaigns took flight. Jennifer felt a wave of exhilaration wash over her as each person's contributions became interwoven, gradually wrapping around the idea of a better future they could collectively strive toward. But at the same time, another emotion tugged at her curiosity. Would this effort hold up when confronted with the challenges of pushback? The questions lingered, magnified by their ambitious aspirations. As they began to exchange phone numbers to keep the momentum alive, Jennifer spotted the young woman who had started this ripple effect. The girl's brow was furrowed with thought, a flicker of doubt crossing her features. But what if we fail? Jennifer felt her chest tighten. Failure felt like a rock pressing down. But as she looked around at the faces lit with hope and determination, they deserved more than fear. Then we learn, she replied softly. Together. We dust ourselves off and keep pushing forward. Nodding, the young woman seemed to gather herself, looking back into the circle with a spark of resolve reigniting. We have a chance now, Jennifer said, holding her breath, the excitement bubbling within her. Let us hold on to that. Together. But as the conversations flowed into plans and strategies, the crowd felt the shadow of reality looming larger. Would they really come together? Would they find the strength to navigate the challenges ahead, knowing full well that their hopeful dreams were just the beginning? Jennifer stood in the center of the room, surrounded by a whirlpool of energy and excitement. Conversations buzzed around her, voices overlapping as ideas bounced from person to person. It felt electric, a spark ignited in a dark room. But under all that enthusiasm, a nagging thought loomed in her mind. What would happen when reality struck? As she glanced around, she noticed that not everyone was riding the wave of hope. A few faces still wore expressions of doubt. She caught Clara's eye, who was biting her lip as if wrestling with something deep within. The vibrant ideas flying around her didn't seem to lift the weight Clara carried. Clara, are you okay? Jennifer asked, her voice softer now, an anchor in the storm of excited chatter. Clara sighed, letting her shoulders drop. I love that everyone is so fired up, but what happens when the initial excitement wears off? We all have lives, jobs, families. This takes time. Jennifer felt her heart squeeze. Clara's worries echoed in her mind. It wasn't enough to rally everyone, they needed sustainable commitment. You're right. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. We have to build a rhythm that everyone can keep up with. Ethan joined them, overhearing the conversation. How about we break things down into manageable steps? We can have smaller subgroups focused on specific projects. That way, people can choose what they feel they can commit to without overwhelming themselves. His suggestion seemed to have a calming effect, and other heads nodded in agreement. Exactly. Jennifer said, a flicker of hope igniting again. People feel more involved when they have ownership. We can schedule regular check-ins, create a cadence that keeps us aligned without burning out. The enthusiasm began to bubble up again as plans adjusted to reality. Jennifer felt herself loosening up, the worries ebbing with each thoughtful idea that emerged. But she couldn't shake the feeling that real difficulties lay ahead. As they finalized some ideas and began forming teams, a sudden silence fell. The older gentleman, who had lingered at the back, cleared his throat again. I have one more question. The crowd turned to him, nervous tension hanging in the air like fog. What if the resources aren't there when you need them? His eyes bore into Jennifer, almost daring her to respond. What if the city doesn't back you, or businesses don't show interest? What then? A chill rushed over her as words fled her mouth. Then we find another way. We'll get creative. We'll reach out to our community in different ways. We'll ask for help, and when we do, we'll have something worthy of their investment to show. The flicker in the old man's eyes softened, but uncertainty still lingered. People want to be part of something real, Jennifer pressed on, finding her steadiness. When they see the difference we're making, they want to help. We have to believe in our work. We have to let that belief guide us even when it's hard. A younger woman raised her hand, her voice shaky but resolute. I just lost my job. If we can pull together, I'd like to offer my skills for online fundraising and marketing. I want to help, even if I can't contribute financially. See? Jennifer exclaimed, heart swelling with pride. We're already starting to form connections. It's in these moments we find our strength. More hands began to raise, people offering time, skills, ideas. It was beautiful. The air felt charged with purpose, but doubt still nipped at her heels. As the crowd began to break into groups, Jennifer noticed that the young woman from earlier still lingered alone. Her heart tugged, she didn't want anyone to feel isolated in this wave of hope. Hey, Jennifer called gently. What's on your mind? The woman hesitated before speaking. What if we go too far, too fast? What if I can't manage it all and I let everyone down? Jennifer took a step closer, instinctively reaching out to place a reassuring hand on her shoulder. We're all in this together. It's okay to not have all the answers. We'll tackle things as they come. Just promise to lean on us when you feel uncertain. With a nod, the woman finally joined a group, a flicker of relief lighting her eyes. As Jennifer stepped back to take in the scene, she felt a weight lift. The night wasn't just about starting projects, it was about building a community that could weather the storms together no matter how fierce. Her phone buzzed again, drawing her attention. A message from Ethan appeared, we really can make this work, can't we? With a wide smile, she replied, yes, we can. But we need to check our blind spots, that's where the danger often hides. But as she pondered the potential pitfalls ahead, another message came through, revealing a shocking truth about the city's previous funding cuts. What was this going to mean for their budding hopes? With a racing heart, Jennifer felt uncertainty loom again. Would they have to face a battle before even beginning to fight for their community? Jennifer stared at the screen, her heart thudding with every word she read. The city's budget cuts were severe, leaving funding for community projects slashed. Anxiety washed over her. What would they do if resources dried up before they could even get started? Hey, you okay? Ethan's voice snapped her back to the present. He was standing close, concern etched across his face. Jennifer managed a nod, though doubt gnawed at her thoughts. Did you see this? She turned her phone to face him. His expression shifted from curiosity to shock as he read the message. This can't be right, he whispered. How are we supposed to build something when the city won't even back us? A knot tightened in her stomach. She had envisioned vibrant smiles, engaged people eager to contribute. Now, shadows of worry clouded their bright gathering. Maybe we should rethink our strategy? Ethan suggested cautiously. We could focus more on local fundraising instead of relying on the city. It was a practical idea, but Jennifer's spirit sank. If we start asking our neighbors for help when we don't even have solid support ourselves, what will they think? Ethan sighed, his brow furrowed. We need to be honest about our situation. If we don't, they might think we're just another floundering project. Jennifer took a deep breath and glanced around the room. The chatter had turned into clusters of hushed conversations, uncertainty mingled with snippets of hope. We can't let fear paralyze us, she said more fiercely than she intended. Every challenge presents an opportunity. We need to show them we can rise above this. There are people willing to help us if they see us fighting for what we believe in. Ethan shrugged, but a glimmer of hope flickered in his eyes. You're right. If we can present a vision that inspires them despite the cuts, we might still get those contributions. Walking away from the crowd, Jennifer felt a sudden burst of determination. She recognized the path ahead wouldn't be smoothly paved. It would be rocky, unpredictable, but that didn't mean they wouldn't forge ahead. They needed to connect on a personal level, to rally the community around their cause and show them what was at stake. Let us gather everyone again, she suggested, glancing back at the crowd. We owe it to them to be transparent about this setback while explaining how they can still be part of this solution. Ethan nodded, already moving into action. He pulled at the strings of excitement in the air and asked for silence. Hey everyone. Can we circle back for a moment? When the group fell quiet again, Jennifer took a deep breath, her heart racing as she addressed them. I know we're all excited to get started, but I have some news. The city has cut funding for community projects, and I'm not going to pretend that doesn't affect us. Gasps traveled through the room. But, she continued, gripping the edge of the table, this can also be our chance to do something different, something amazing. We can build our foundation without waiting for someone else's approval. I like that. Someone shouted. It was the young woman from earlier, her face alight with newfound determination. Jennifer nodded. Exactly. Let us leverage our skills, our passions, and let people know we're not backing down. We're going to turn this around. Together. Cries of encouragement erupted as people began to see the potential in their situation. They crowded around Jennifer, their shared energy rekindling the initial excitement that had brought them all together. With a spark reigniting within her, hope began to blossom again. The groundwork would be harder, but perhaps their struggles would unite them even more. As they brainstormed possible approaches for local fundraising, an unexpected text came through again. It was from Clara. One more thing, Jen. Have you considered reaching out to that billionaire who expressed interest in our community development projects? He might have resources we never thought possible. Could they actually gain support from someone so influential? The question hung in the air like an unlit firecracker, waiting for that spark to ignite it. But reaching out meant facing vulnerability, the possibility of rejection. Jennifer clenched her jaw, determination leading the way forward. Would she dare to reach for the stars, or be resigned to staying grounded? In the days following the meeting, Jennifer's mind was a whirlwind of possibilities. The idea of contacting that billionaire filled her with an odd mix of excitement and fear. What if he didn't care? What if he had already moved on to other ventures? Each day, she found herself staring at her screen, drafting different versions of the message. Each time she typed, her fingers hesitated over the keyboard. Was it too forward? Should she include specific figures about their project? She wanted to sound confident, but doubt crept in like a shadow. Hey, Jen. Ethan popped his head into her small office space one morning, breaking her concentration. You look like you're about to break through a brick wall. More like I'm staring at it, trying to figure out how to knock it down, she replied with a weak smile. Have you heard anything from Clara? Ethan leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. She's still following up with some potential donors on her end. But I think we should push the billionaire contact harder. You're our strongest voice, you know that? Jennifer sighed. But what if he reads my email and doesn't see the potential? What if he views us as just another startup seeking handouts? Or, Ethan tilted his head, what if he sees the fire in your spirit? He might remember why he was interested in the first place. Rich people aren't just numbers on a balance sheet, they want to feel connected to something real. His words sparked a little hope within her, nudging her push aside the doubt. Maybe Ethan was right. Maybe passion was the key. That evening, feeling emboldened, Jennifer finally opened a blank email. Her heart raced as she started typing, pouring out her thoughts about the project, the community, the unwavering spirit of the people who believed in what they could achieve together. As she hit send, she felt a mix of relief and fear. Now, all they had to do was wait. But the waiting game wasn't easy. She found herself checking her email constantly, anxious with every ping. Days passed, and just when her hope began to wane, a notification popped up. It was a reply. Dear Jennifer, thank you for reaching out. I genuinely admire your dedication to community development. I'd love to meet and discuss how we can collaborate on this project. Her eyes widened, heart racing at the screen. It felt like the universe was throwing open a door that had once been firmly shut. Without hesitation, she rushed to find Ethan, who was working late in another corner of the community center. Ethan. You won't believe it. She exclaimed, breathless with excitement. What is it? He looked up, curiosity flashing across his face. He wants to meet. He actually wants to meet. Ethan blinked, processing the information. That's incredible. When? Next week. At his office downtown. The thought filled her with both hope and dread. This was a big leap, and she needed to prepare. Okay, let's make a plan, Ethan suggested. What are the key points we want to cover? What if he asks tough questions? For the next few hours, they worked late into the night, mapping out their presentation, focusing on the community's needs and painting a vivid picture of their vision. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Jennifer felt her confidence grow, but it was tinged with anxiety. Would this meeting change everything, or would it be just another obstacle? When the day finally arrived, she dressed carefully, choosing a simple but professional outfit. Even as she stood in front of the towering building, she felt weighty doubt creeping back in. What if she stumbled over her words? What if he saw her as just another hopeful dreamer? Taking a deep breath, she pushed through the revolving doors, determined to show him the pulse of her community. With every step towards that meeting room, she thought about the people who believed in this project, the smiles she wanted to create. And as she entered, she steeled herself for whatever came next. But she could never have prepared for the unexpected surprise that followed. Her heart raced as she sat down, locking eyes with the billionaire, waiting to see if this day would spark something that could change everything or leave her feeling empty again. What would he say? Would he share her vision or crush her hopes in an instant? The room was more elaborate than Jennifer had imagined, filled with polished wood and sleek lines. There was an air of authority that made her pulse quicken as she took her seat across from the billionaire. He was late 50s, sharp-featured with a confident demeanor that belied an inviting warmth in his smile. Jennifer, he began, his voice smooth and rich, I was impressed by your email. You're passionate about your project, and I can see you truly care about the community. For a moment, Jennifer felt the weight of doubt lift slightly. Thank you. This community means everything to me. We've got a vibrant spirit, and I believe we can drive real change with the right support. He nodded, leaning forward, a genuine interest etched across his face. Tell me more about your vision. What do you need to make it happen? Breathing in deeply, she released her nervous energy. They crossed into the details, discussing numbers, logistics, and the transformative effects their planned initiatives could have. Her heart raced not from fear but from the thrill of sharing her dreams. She could see he was engaged, asking questions, nodding, and occasionally taking notes, but just as the meeting reached a pivotal point, Jennifer felt a shift in the air. The billionaire glanced at his watch, his expression momentarily clouding with a flicker of concern. "We may have to adjust the timeline," he said slowly, "but I believe a collaboration could work." "What do you mean?" Her stomach dropped. Had she already lost him? He cleared his throat, the tension building. "We are seeing some regulatory pushes that could make this project more complicated. I'm going to be honest, funding is going to hinge on certain outcomes. We need to show viability beyond passion." The conversation twisted in her mind. She had been so focused on hope that she hadn't fully considered the hurdles. "Are you saying, without those outcomes, there's no chance?" "Not at all," he assured. "But we need to find a way to prove this will be worth the investment. I believe in what you're doing, but the numbers have to align. The last thing I want is to open a door, only for it to close before we get through." Jennifer took a moment. She needed to be strategic, to see the reality beneath the optimism. "I understand. What would you need to see from us to feel confident moving forward?" Their discussion flowed, moving from community needs to strategy to measurable goals. As they continued, Jennifer noticed a shift in her own mindset. This wasn't just about asking for help. This was about building a partnership, a true collaboration. Every question he asked compelled her to think deeper, to dig into the heart of what her community could achieve. After a while, she could feel the atmosphere settle into something far more productive, and a flicker of hope reignited within her. "What if we approach it by bringing in community volunteers for a baseline study? We could gather data to demonstrate our impact over the next few months." The billionaire raised his eyebrow, intrigued. "That could work. It's tangible, something we can both sell to potential investors." Jennifer felt a swell of determination. "Exactly. We could turn it into a sustained effort, a campaign to showcase the community's feedback and results." As they wrapped up, the initial anxiety faded, replaced by a sense of purpose. With every word exchanged, they forged something stronger, two minds collaborating on a shared dream. "I'm in," he said as they stood to shake hands. "Let us make this happen." Walking out of the building, Jennifer felt lighter than she had entering. Something had shifted, there was a real possibility here. But as she stepped onto the street, she couldn't shake the feeling that there were still unanswered questions lingering in the air. Could her community truly adapt to meet the expectations outlined? Would the path ahead be as smooth as it felt in the moment? And as she stepped into the chaotic rhythm of the city, those doubts began to brew again, churning deeper than she anticipated. What if this newfound partnership wasn't enough to keep the dream alive? The clouds hung low over the city as Jennifer stepped back into her world, emotions swirling like the wind. She felt a mixture of triumph and uncertainty. She had fought for a chance, and now she held it in her hands. But the weight of the work ahead loomed, heavy and demanding. Ethan was waiting outside, his expression a mix of excitement and concern. "How did it go?" he asked, eagerly. Jennifer couldn't help but smile, the relief washing over her like rain after a long drought. "He's in. But it won't be easy. We need to show real impact, gather data, prove this community can thrive," she explained, her voice tinged with a hint of anxiety. Ethan nodded, absorbing her words. "If anyone can do it, it's you. You've already rallied everyone together. We just need to keep that momentum." As they headed back to the community center, their steps quickened by a shared energy. Jennifer's heart swelled with newfound resolve. The vision wasn't just hers anymore, it was shared by a growing collective. She thought of the stories they had woven together, the connections forming like a tapestry, binding them. Later that evening, Jennifer gathered everyone in the community center, the walls buzzing with anticipation. "I have news," she exclaimed, catching their attention. "We have a chance to partner with Ethan's billionaire friend. But we need to come together, work hard, and prove our worth." Gasps rippled through the crowd, eyes bright with excitement and hope. "But this means we'll need commitment," she continued, her voice steady. "We'll be organizing teams to track our impact, gather stories, and showcase our community's strength." Clara, who had once voiced doubts, stood with newfound determination. "I'm in. Let us work on gathering stories. We can uplift each other, and share the true heart of our community." A chorus of agreement followed, and a palpable shift filled the room. People broke into teams, moving with purpose, each heart echoing the realization that this was their moment to shine. Days turned into weeks, and the community came alive with energy. Together, they started a project tracking their progress, incorporating feedback from everyone. They created workshops, shared meals, and organized gatherings where every voice mattered. Every time they gathered, Jennifer felt pride swell within her. The group thrived on connection, reminding each other of their strength in vulnerability. When setbacks emerged, they leaned on one another. They learned to listen, plan, adapt, and grow. As progress reports were drafted, revealing tangible results of their collective effort, the excitement in the air became electric. News of their initiative spread, the local community watching with interest. They began to see Jennifer's neighborhood in a new light, shifting from isolation to a vibrant community on the rise. Finally, amidst growing momentum, the day came to present their findings to the billionaire and potential investors. Jennifer stood at the front, heart racing, every ounce of doubt a distant memory. "Today, we are not just proving numbers," she began, strength spilling out of her voice. "We are showcasing resilience, unity, and the undeniable spirit of our community." As she shared stories, faces from the community flashed across screens, the laughter, the tears, the struggles, and the triumphs. The audience engaged, eyes glimmering with interest. When she finished, silence hung in the air, then erupted into applause. She looked over to see Ethan beaming, pride for their collective efforts shining in his eyes. "This is just the beginning," the billionaire said as he stood to address the room. "I see real promise here. You've not only captured success on paper, you've ignited passion. And that is worth investing in." Over the coming months, the funding arrived. With it came resources, hope, and the beginnings of real change. The community garden flourished, programs expanded, and the relationships built became the scaffolding of collective resilience. In the heart of it all, Jennifer felt transformed. No longer just a maid with dreams but a vibrant force for change. She hugged Clara one day, tears of joy spilling down her cheeks. "We did this together," she whispered, overwhelmed by love and gratitude. Jennifer's journey hadn't just been about overcoming challenges, it was about connection, empathy, and the unyielding human spirit. Together, they had paved the way for transformation, one that reached beyond the walls of their community and echoed through the city. As she looked out over the thriving garden, a bright sunset illuminating the faces of her neighbors, she realized they had woven unity and strength into their lives. True change was tangible now, rooted deep within the community they had nurtured together, and that was only the beginning. Now, if you felt inspired by this story of transformation and hope, this is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories, leave a like now to feed the algorithm, comment below your feelings about this ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support is what keeps these stories alive.